on that. What you have in front of you is an old laser printer. It's a Hewlett-Packard LaserJet 4. This thing is probably close to 25-30 years of age. And what I'm getting ready to do is I'm getting ready to disassemble this ink cartridge, just because I've never looked at the inside of one. Now, the tray that was down here, it consisted of just a flat panel to hold the paper up and then a spring to push against the weight of the paper so that the paper would feed. As I disassemble this thing, I will catalog it, but what we're going to do right now is we're going to concentrate on this ink cartridge and see where we can go. I've already removed a couple of screws that were here, and we will be cataloging. Now, I'm not trying to save anything. If something's in the way, I'm not going to sit here and try to disassemble it carefully. I'm going to go ahead and break it, break the plastic out or cut it with a plastic grinder, which is similar to a metal grinder. It's designed for plastic. So as I go along, I'll film this. Alright, using a screwdriver, we pop this up. It's just a spindle. This piece doesn't want to come up, so we'll see what else we need to do, and then we will continue videoing. What we just removed are these pieces right here. They were turned in like this. There's two of them, one on each side. We popped this out, and then this piece right here immediately came open and fell apart. What we have back inside here now is the ink roller, which I'm going to be real cautious of because of the carbon black. I don't want to spread it everywhere. And we have the roller that picks up the image. Now, the way these things work, they work identical, if you will, to an offset press. There is something, LED, that puts a charge on this roller. This roller then picks up the carbon black and it then transfers that to the paper electrostatically. An offset press works by having what they call a plate, and as the plate runs through a medium of a chemically treated water, the areas that will pick up the ink reject the water, pick up the ink, and then that is printed to the paper by actually putting the ink on the paper. So when you're doing offset press, you're either printing with water or you're printing with ink. In this case, the laser puts, or the LED, puts the image on here that the carbon black picks up, and then the carbon black is printed to the paper. So that's how that works, and that's how an offset press works. To disassemble this piece, we pop this out, and this just comes off like so. I want to protect that hard piece of metal. I might be able to use it as a movie prop for my Stickman series. This is pretty much shot. There's a little reservoir in here, and I think that's for additional carbon black that didn't make it. You have this small little spring-loaded, whoa, you see that? You have this little spring-loaded, whatever you want to call it here, roller. I'm going to break that off camera, away from the camera, so I don't get any carbon on my camera, and then I'll resume filming. Alright, I got the little roller off camera. We're going to look at this carefully because I don't want to get carbon black all over everything. This is what picks up the carbon, the toner, as it were, from the other piece. I'm going to take out this screw here, this screw there, I don't know what it does, again, and we're going to see what we get. I'm also going to put on gloves. There's some little metal clips here. I'm going to pop these off. We're going to look inside, and then we will go from there. I've taken out screws here, a couple on each side. I'm now going to remove the clips. If I can figure out what I did with my screwdriver. There it is. Remove the clips. There appears to be only 5 of them. So I'm going to take these off. These little pieces of metal I throw into a bin, and I recycle all this scrap metal. There's no place to recycle the plastic, which is kind of a bummer. Right, this is trying to come open for me. If you look, there's a white gummy substance inside here that just ripped clean. The powder is flowing out freely. I'm going to step off camera and I'm going to try to dump most of that out so I don't make a big mess. What we have is a large reservoir inside here. I think you may be able to see the light coming through this. This is where they would refill the thing when you send it back. This is the piece right here that causes the roller to operate. Let me get rid of this thing. Inside here you have your roller, which is this piece that picks up the carbon. Well, I can't turn it. It's pretty latched. There we go. Anyway, it picks up the carbon. This is what's transferred to that shiny blue roller I showed you a minute ago. And then the process conveniently transfers the material to the disc. There we go. I don't know if you can see how much carbon black is on here. It's a mountain of it, which would be scraped off by this metal disc. This thing is highly magnetized. I don't know if that's a result of the carbon going through there or something else, but it was interesting to me. With that said, you've seen the inside of a laser printer, at least the disc side of it. To remove my gloves and to stay clean, I grab the centerpiece, I come over, I'm holding stuff in my hands, which is fine. I come over, I grab the centerpiece, I get my thumb into it, I then pull, come on, it's easier if you're not holding stuff. This is the crappiest degloving I've ever done in my life. I was a surgical tech for 9 years. A lot better than this. Anyway, all the stuff is off. Taking some screws off of the back of this thing. This piece now lifts up. We have some screws right here. Take these off. Okay, here was some clips right in here. We pop these up. It lifts right up. It's nice and clean. We have a cooling fan, which is probably still operable. These fans should be saved if you ever salvage equipment like this. We have this little plug, which is probably for diagnostics, I'm guessing. I don't know that for a fact. We have these little electrostatic pins up here, which are used for discharging the plate as it prints. We have this control module, whatever it is, and we'll take that apart in just a second, see what we have. We have the bay in here. Alright, I've removed this screw right here. This is just a little metal panel. It looks like it's made of copper, maybe plated, I don't know. We'll check it with a magnet. If it's copper, we'll sell it as copper when I recycle this. The fan almost lifts off. It's apparently attached with something. We'll find out in a moment. This piece right here, these little can't talk. They come over here and they ground to the frame of this, and of course the frame is grounded. I have removed all the screws I can find for this piece, but it's still attached. I've removed everything I can find for this. It's still attached. But we've made this much progress, which is basically nothing. So now the next step will be to figure out what's holding this and to get it disconnected. Alright, I've removed this screw right here. This is just a little metal panel. It looks like it's made of copper, maybe plated, I don't know. We'll check it with a magnet. If it's copper, we'll sell it as copper when I recycle this. The fan almost lifts off. It's apparently attached with something. We'll find out in a moment. This piece right here, these little they come over here and they ground to the frame of this, and of course the frame is grounded. I have removed all the screws I can find for this piece, but it's still attached. I've removed everything I can find for this. It's still attached. Side plate off, opposite this one. I removed the screws that I think is holding everything in. This one I've opened up. Inside I have circuit cards. If you can see those, I have circuit cards inside here. I've removed this. There was a plate here. I removed that, which holds whatever this is in place. And we have these pieces right here. You can see this thing's trying to lift up. It's held in place somewhere. There's a screw here that I can see, but I don't know if I'm going to reach with the screwdriver I have. I may have to go get another one. There may be something back here. I don't know yet. Still haven't gotten this loose. Alright, the fan popped right off. And you see these 3 wires. We'll figure, are there 3? Yeah, it's 3 wires. Figure out where they go in just a minute. These fans, by the way, are worth their weight in gold. Don't throw them away. If you ever salvage something, hang on to them. If they still work, they are amazing. You can freeze these things solid in a freezer for about 1 year, according to an engineer when I was going through my wind turbine school. At the end of a year, you can thaw them out. They'll still work. Alright, back to the story. We have this loose. There were some little springs here and here that were holding this in place. These are now disconnected. We can remove these pieces of plastic. This is still not yet ready to come free. There's something holding this. What I'm getting ready to do is I'm going to have to get a longer screwdriver to get this piece out. Once I get this out, I think I can get the rest of this disassembled, and we'll see where we are, and we will go from there. Alright, I had a screw up in here. I had a screw right up in here, which I had to remove. This panel now comes off without any kind of problems. How specifically it attached, I don't know. There we go. See right up here? These are the pins that fit to it. I am not seeing... Oh, son of a gun. Yeah, we'll find out in just a minute. Figure this out. This goes here. Those pins are up there. Yeah, it went just like this. And pulled that off. This came out, but surely not. Those pins are lateral. Right up here. This is where this connects. Right up here, if you can see that. That's where it goes. That's what connects this module that controls the printing. And you have these pieces, these circuit boards, which are called surface mount. Alright, let's see what else we can do to tear this thing apart. Here's your motor, and this is what turns everything. On the back side of this, you can see this belt. This is what turns the paper movement, the little fingers that grab the paper. And the belt comes all the way down. I was moving it a minute ago by hand. I've got to remove this circuit board to remove some screws on the back side of this in order to remove this piece. But you can see there's not really a lot in there. I want to save this fan as much wire as possible. You can buy these on Amazon fairly inexpensively, and if I think about it, I'll put a video together how you can use a couple of relays and solar panels to turn on and turn off lights or fans or whatever during the day. But for right now, what we want to do is remove this plastic, remove this panel, this one too probably, and then get this piece out. The fan turned out to be plugged in right in here. I pulled it out. This plastic that was covering everything lifted right off. These just slide right off by pulling. I have trouble getting this one off. This plastic's in the way. We'll get in this just a second. Anyway, it's fairly easy to disconnect all this good stuff. Seems to just pull right off once you can get a hold of it. Oops. By the way, there are capacitors on this board. Capacitors store electricity, and although this thing has not been used for 30 years, it doesn't mean those capacitors don't have power, so don't get careless. In a television, there are people that have been, shall we say, lit up, and some have experienced very adverse reactions. I'll finish getting all this stuff off and then we'll come back. Having removed this panel right here, and it has a bunch of plastic snaps. The wire goes through a series of catches. If they push in easy, they do not come out easily. This one is not designed to release without a special instrument to release all the pins at once. I don't have one of those, so we're just going to leave that alone, throw it to the side. I've removed some screws here. This piece is now very loose. The next step is to figure out what's holding it right in here, release that, and then we'll take that piece out. Having popped the fan assembly, this is what pushes the air down into the guts of the thing to keep everything cool. Shows the, actually, I lied to you. The airflow shows it to be coming up. It's pulling the air out to cool this down here. I took out these screws. This piece comes up. It's disconnected. So we have that done. There's a lot of metal in that. I'll be recycling all that. I'm almost to the end of breaking this down. I want to find out what the power supply is that's inside here. And as long as I have you here, let's see. There it is. If you look, you have this fin right here. Let's pop this little jewel out. You have this fin that's holding the wires in. That's what I was telling you about earlier. And on the other side, it's from the other direction. It's designed, you push the wires in here, the wire, as you push them in, it catches from the other side and then it holds it. And that was proving to be quite difficult to disassemble. I need to release all this. I'm going to have to get a long screwdriver. I tried something a moment ago, but I can't get these apart in order to get this panel off, which is the power supply. Once I do that, I'm going to call this quits, because then we know that the paper goes in over here. We have these guides, as you were. The roller here picks the paper up, pushes it in, brings it up here. The roller is electrostatically charged. It's printed with carbon. Either if it has a charge, it picks up the carbon. If it doesn't pick up the charge. It comes up and then it mechanically presses it onto the paper where it's held by electrostatic charge, or so I have been told. These are the springs that I had to get rid of. They were holding the front piece down, and then the screws held the rest of the mechanism in place. So we will put these in the bucket that goes to the recycling center. This right here is just where the paper feeds up. There's no reason to disassemble that. Who cares? Let's look at the power supply and we will call it quits. This piece seems to be stiff. There may be a screw over here holding it. We'll find out in just a matter of seconds. No. Looks like this whole thing is designed to lift out. Looks like we're going to have to remove this panel, so we'll come right back to that. Alright, with this panel right here pulled out and removed, let's see if we can now lift this out. Move the bar. There it is. Here's our power supply. Here's our 3 plugs. You're going to have your your hot, your ground, your neutral. The panel, when it comes apart, got a screw on this end. I want to remove that. All right. Again, your hot, your ground. Let's rephrase. Hot, neutral, ground. The power supply is open. Power comes in. It looks like it immediately goes into this capacitor. I'm not sure about that. From there, it's being filtered, it's being stored. Remember what I told you, these things store charges. These things hold power for years, and they will flat put you on your can, so don't get careless with a capacitor. As you can see, we have a lot of transistors, have a lot of diodes and resistors. The diodes are these little babies down here. Your resistors are these little bitty bead looking things with colors on them. And these colors tell you what they're rated at. Then you have more filters, more capacitors back here. And in all probability, this is where the power is being smoothed out. They're taking, and I'm assuming right now, that they're taking AC, rectifying it to DC, and then they're getting rid of all the ripples here. These things will charge and discharge as the power goes, so that it holds a real steady current, whatever the power is. There's what's called MMOS, CMOS, and who knows what else. They all operate at different temperatures, different voltages. The different sizes of these resistors tell you that they're handling different powers. The fact that we have solid state on here makes me think that this thing is all operating probably in the 5 volt range. Although it might be a little higher, I don't know. That's not the purpose of this. This is just to take this thing apart and see how it's made.